Yeah, that's one of the things that I miss about being in the Midwest. You can get like a really nice like townhouse like that, and only pay like $800 a month as opposed out here, it'd be what, like 2,800, maybe 3,500.
Yeah. The basement. I mean, the basement's a cool addition. Like, I mean, when we move back, like if we move back to California, I don't even know what. Like, I'm gonna have to like put this shit in the garage, but this is like the size of the whole house, so it's you know, and it's
Jeez.
concrete and shit. So yeah, but I don't know. I mean, the Midwest is cool, but there's like nothing to fucking do here at all.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's nice when you get into like spring and summertime, as long as it's not like too rainy, but you moved right off the lake. So it's like you're going to get, plastered by a bunch of big storms and shit just because the
There
water's
was
right
a
there.
there was a blizzard last night. Looked out the window. Like we went, uh, we walked outside to go to her friend's house to like watch her dog or some shit, and then came back and there was like no snow. And then like 30 minutes later, there was just like you couldn't even see the ground because there was a blizzard. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
I remember those. Fun to look at, not fun to drive in, not fun to be outside in at all.
Yeah, when we order food, sometimes the drivers will come and they park in this parking lot and they're like, "Hey, I'm here," and then I come out in like my California clothes, like in my sandals, my shorts, and I'm like walking through the snow, and he's like in his big ass jacket. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Oh man, yeah. See, I don't miss any of that stuff. I'm glad to be rid of that. Although, like 2 days ago, it rained for almost like 2 days straight. It was down to like about 40 degrees, and it was like hardcore storm and like Midwest storm,
Nice.
thunder, lightning, everything. So that was pretty nice.
Surprise to me over here because the thunderstorms over here are like a lot fucking louder.
Yep.
Like in California, it was just like, oh shit, there's lightning. But over here, like I'd be sleeping in the middle of the night and it'd just be like, boom,
Yep.
oh fuck.
You feel the whole
my
house
fucking
shake.
cat. Yeah, usually my cat like sleeps with us, and then he's like gone. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go look for him. And he's like in the closet, just like in the corner, like.
Man, that is one thing I miss though. Those nice big thunderstorms and just storms in general. When you don't have to work, you don't have to go out. You can just kind of like chill inside, just open the window, just listen to the rain, and just be like, it's
Yeah,
so peaceful.
yeah. There was one time, like when we first moved here, and like it was like I think it was like during September, and we were going on. The fuck were we going to? I don't know. We might have been going to the store or something because we don't have a car, so we take the bus.
Yeah.
And it just fucking like just poured like so hard, like so much fucking rain that like if you stepped out for like 5 seconds, you would be drenched.
Yep.
And I don't even.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's probably the only thing I miss about the Midwest, but you're right, man. It's so boring out there. There's nothing to do. I mean, the like summertime is so celebrated in the Midwest just because you do get a lot of the like fun summer stuff. Like you can go on the lake with like jet skis and you can go out and go fishing
Yeah,
and a lot of hiking. There's tons of like caverns and shit that you can go to. If you get the
yeah,
chance,
yeah,
definitely head down to Ohio and there's several different caverns that you can go into that's just hella cool and free.
yeah, yeah. I know there's some like cool things around here. It's just like we don't have a car, but we like rent a zip car and stuff, so like we can
Yeah.
do those things. But we didn't have that when it was summertime, and now we don't like ever want to go outside. So
Yeah. You're like, it's like 2 degrees. Nah, I'm good.
yeah, it hasn't gotten there yet. It's actually I think the lowest it's been is like 19 degrees, but I mean that's still fucking cold.
Yeah.
The there's a forest or I mean, we're surrounded by like a fucking forest, like everywhere. But there's this one that's like to the left of us that because we usually take like this trail, so we like come from the store and then we walk up the sidewalk, and there's like trees and shit next to it, and we usually take like a shortcut, which is this little trail, and you go in like the fence, and then you like go to the little townhouse. But before on that trail, there's like one that deviates, and that goes into like the forest, and it's like a trail, and it looks like people have been like walking. They like go on walks and shit in there.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, let's go check it out, and then so we go in there, and then this trail like goes on fucking forever. Like it just fucking winds and shit for a long fucking time. And there's this tree house, and it was like a teepee thing or whatever. And on the tree house, I like climbed up it, and there was like this picture of like this lady with like black hair, and I was like, okay, I don't like that. And then I jumped down, and then we just kept following the trail, and I don't know, like there was like kid toys like in the middle of because where the treehouse was, that's kind of where like the houses are. So I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then if you go like further, it's like in the middle, which is kind of like, I mean, it's not that far. It's like 5-minute walk or whatever. But there's like toys out there. It's like, why the fuck would you bring toys all the way out there? And it's like a fire truck and shit. And I remember it was like on the trail. And then I think we went back there like a week later because she's like, oh, let's go on a walk again. It was cool. I was like, okay. And then so we went on the same shit, and we went back, and the fire truck was like moved, and we're like, who the fuck is here? Like, we don't see anyone go in here. There's no people around here. Why did this move? Why did this move? So I was like, all right, that's the last time I'm going in there. No, thank you. So we don't go in there anymore because
some weird ass like homeless guy or something like that.
Well, because it seems like there's people that go in there because of the trail and stuff, and like things move around, but we don't see anyone, and there's like no people around us, so we're just like, no, I'm all right. I don't want to.
People doing the early bird stuff, going out there at like 6 o'clock in the morning, like butt crack, fucking dawn. Yeah.
Oh shit, it scared me. Yeah.
Well, fuck it. Okay, I think we should get around to some fitness stuff.
Hey, I mean, we were talking about going on walks and stuff. That's kind of fitness, I don't know.
Well, we're not 80.
Yeah, true.
So I guess just start off, tell the channel, tell the people a little bit about your fitness journey, why you love fitness,
Oh man, that's gonna take a while probably, but I guess.
Well, this is an introduction video, so.
All right. Okay, so I pretty much always lifted weights because I played sports in high school, and the coaches were always like, you guys are like little pussies, so you should lift some weights. And then we were like, okay. So we go and into the weight room after practice, which is not really like the greatest time to lift weights after a 2-hour-long football practice, but whatever. Then we get in there, and the coach would be like, all right, put weight on the bar. We're gonna do deadlifts, and you're gonna pick it up. All right, cool. And then from there, I didn't, I couldn't tell at the time, but there was tons of very, very bad form, and the coach was kind of like condoning it, like, yeah, go heavier. And he's just like this, like. So,
sounds like a typical football coach.
We'd all just
more.
Just load it up and fucking like, just pick the weight up. What the fuck do you want from me? That's basically what he said. So yeah, he just tell us what to do. He would basically give us like a fucking like a 15-second tutorial. He'd get like someone that kind of knew what they were doing and show us how to squat. He's like, put the bar on your back. All right, squat. All right, that's how you do it. And then we all just do it. And he'd be like, all right, 20 reps. And then, so I kind of like, I mean, honestly, I got, when I did it my junior year, because we had to go in the morning from, when did school usually start? At like 8. So we went from like, 6:30 to like 7:30 for a lifting session in the morning. And even though it was like really shitty, like the form and like the programming and everything, I actually got some decent results. I think because I was extremely sensitive to strength training, like my body's really receptive to like anything. And usually like when you're a beginner, everything works. It's just some things work a lot better. So even though I was doing a bunch of bullshit, I think my junior year, I went from like 150 to like 175 in like 2 months, maybe somewhere around there. So
hefty gain.
Yeah, and I wasn't even trying to like eat more or anything, and I was probably in a fucking deficit. I don't even know how that's possible. I mean, when you first start out, you can kind of get away with shit like that, being in a deficit and like gaining weight still and shit if you're like lifting because you're new to it, like the newbie gains. So like, yeah, I wasn't trying to like eat a bunch of food or anything. I just kind of gained muscle and all that from just doing that bullshit, which is cool. But I think that was also when I hit like a growth spurt as well. So that was like a mixture. What was next? From there, like after high school, I just kind of like lifted recreationally, just kind of like, I don't know, what everyone else fucking does that goes to the gym like Dragon or fucking GNC manager and just chest flies and.
Well, wait, before you go too far, like when did you start playing football?
Oh, I started when I was like 7, like
Okay.
really, really young.
Probably. When did you start like lifting weights and adding that into the the playbook?
I started lifting weights sophomore year because the coach was making us. And that's when I gained everything was toward the end of sophomore year, going into junior year. I think when I got into junior year, I was about 180. And then junior year, like our high school was like fucking terrible. So I was playing safety junior year, and we went to this, it was a camp, like a weekend camp at Sac State. And we played like a bunch of different teams in that area. And one game that I played was, or no, it was actually during practice. So, everyone's all excited to hit and shit because they got their pads. And there was a running back that he wasn't really my friend, but like we knew each other. And since I was playing safety, he caught like a pass, like a swing pass or an outlet. And he was running up the sideline, and I knew he wasn't going to like try and go around me. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to fucking, kill you. So we were running from like 40 yards, just staring at each other the whole fucking time. Like we knew, like we were just not going to stop and go around each other at all. So we just literally fucking hit heads from like all that momentum. And then all I remember is that he flew out of bounds, and then I just started, like, I could see through like a circle, and everything else was like sparkly.
Got that tunnel vision, yeah.
Yeah, and then my coach was like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Jordan's getting shit done over here." But I was like, I don't even know where the fuck I am right now. I was like, I need to stop. And so I took my helmet off, and there was a giant fucking chunk. Like usually you get like paint on the helmet. But literally, there was a piece of the helmet that was gone. Like it was chipped off. And I was like, oh, okay. Usually like when I played, because I had a headache like literally right when I did that. And that was normal though. Like in football, I would always experience that shit. When I was like younger, I would hit people and I'd be like, oh, that kind of hurt. And it would like go away. or it might hurt for the day and then it'd get better, like when I wake up in the morning or whatever. But this one, I woke up and that shit hurt still, like really bad. And I was like, okay, whatever. I think I took some like ibuprofen or something like that, and I was like, all right, I'll be fine. And then we played a team. I don't remember what team it was, but anyways, I played through that whole game as safety and like hitting and stuff. And I did actually pretty well, but my head was like about to explode. And then the next day, I was like going through warm ups and I was just like, I can't even fucking, like, my head is literally gonna fucking explode right now. So I told my coach, I was like, I think I have a concussion because I've never like had to do it before. I'm pretty sure I've had concussions before. I've just kind of like ignored them. I was like, I think I have a concussion. And then he was like, okay, we'll get you evaluated. And then the athletic trainer, the lady was like, all right, can you look at my finger and like follow it and shit? And she's like, oh yeah, you have a concussion. I was like, oh, cool. So I was like, well, I mean, my team sucks. I'm really good. I have a concussion. I think I'll just not play like at all. I'll save it for college. Which leads me kind of to the next step. So I didn't play senior year. I played basketball junior and senior year and stuff still. But for football wise, when I moved to LA, because my girlfriend went to UCLA and stuff. So I moved with her and we're from the same high school and stuff. So that's just how it worked. And I was like, all right, I'll go to the local community college, which is actually pretty good, which you went to as well. Santa Monica College. That's where Chad Josico went to and Steve Smith. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be good because they went there and, you know, it's in LA or Santa Monica technically, but, you know, it's pretty good community college because there's a lot of good people that come from there. And the transfer rate is really good. So I was like, well, all right, cool. I'll do that. So I moved over there and then I got a job at fucking GNC. Like, what was that? 2014, I think I got that. No. Yeah. I think it was 2014 that I got that. So before, like years before we even, you know, started doing our shit. So I got a job there and then I enrolled in like the football and all that stuff. And I lived like this fucking crazy lady because it was only like $400 a month, and I lived in like this little tiny ass room, and she was like kind of psycho. What was it? So I was going to college and doing that shit. So I had to be in football. You have to have 12 units, and that's a lot of time. And then taking the bus and working and all that stuff. So I did football for a little bit, but I wasn't able to actually like go through with it because of all the like time constraints.
Yeah, they want a lot of time. They want to take up a lot of your time, even though it's still just a community college football team.
Yeah, I know that's kind of bullshit, but so
I went through kind of a similar thing because I was getting recruited by a D3 school because they had like done a little recon on like one of my friends, and then they did some recon on me because they wanted to pick me up as a wide receiver because I was playing baseball and I was one of like the main stealers on the team. So they wanted somebody who was going to be able to do that. But then they like kind of laid out what every week looked like, and the requirements of the school was to take like I think it was still about like 12 units or something like that. But they were on the quarter system. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's no way.
Yeah. I don't like if you play a sport and you have 12 units, you can't have a job.
Yeah.
Like you can't. There's no way you can do good in your classes and shit, or even have enough energy to like do shit.
Yeah.
So what was I? The football thing didn't work out for that year. So I just kind of like focused on I worked at GNC still, and then I was like, I'm tired of this, so I'm gonna go to this place and that place. So I went and jumped around to a bunch of fucking places for like a year or two. And then that's when I came back, and then you were there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's when we, had our other stories and shit. But during in the process of that, I finally got enough money to like do the NSCA certification and the UCLA whatever program that they have for the personal trainers and stuff.
Yeah, and that's a just to clarify for anyone who watches this later, that's a year-long like full-on like you take classes and learn everything and you go through the steps, which is different from what I did because you know for anyone who doesn't know, like technically you don't have to do anything. You just read the book and then you can get a certification. But it was good that you went that route because you got to learn a lot of stuff from people who have been experts in the field. Whereas on my side, I did shadowing, and so like I got to see how people trained. From one guy who was a boxer slash bodybuilder, and then another guy that was he kind of based everything around his experience in the Marines. So I got to see something that was a lot more like weight based versus something that was a lot more about just form and function.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I went through the UCLA thing, and I was glad that it was long like that too. Because like on Wednesdays we had the lectures. It was like 3 hours of just like going over anatomy and programming and all this other shit. And on Fridays was like 2 to 3 hour session that was hands on. That would show you like all the biomechanics and planes and all that stuff, and like how to teach people and use certain cues, like how to actually do exercises and stuff. So that was like really helpful. I think that put me like really far ahead. Like just doing that alone, the NSCA shit and studying for that didn't fucking help me. Like anybody can get the NSCA, like read the book and take the test. Like that doesn't make you a good trainer at all. The UCLA shit, like that made me. That's why I feel like confident. I mean that's where I started. I'm obviously a lot better than where I left off there. So I got that, and then went back to GNC, and then I was at GNC and training at UCLA at the same time, which was fine because training is like you train like one person a day or whatever. It doesn't really fucking matter. So I just kind of like testing things out and like seeing what worked. And at the time, I think I've always like trained for strength, but there was like a point in my life that, I didn't know what was more important or whatever. So I was like, oh, well, the better I look or the bigger muscles that I have, no matter what way I get them, then the better I'll perform. Because I always wanted to train for better performance. I always wanted to be able to like be faster, jump higher, and stronger than everybody. But that I wasn't really getting results because I was doing like bodybuilding stuff, like leg extension and like a bunch of volume. And I was like, well, I'm getting bigger, but I don't feel faster, or I don't feel like I'm jumping higher or anything like that. I just feel heavier, and that's not really helping. So basically, I went through like a long period of learning like a bunch of actual strength training and like how to get better at athletic movements and like your sport and stuff. And now obviously I'm a master of that now, but at the time it was like frustrating because I was like, well, fuck, I don't know how to like. I'm getting my muscles bigger. They're not fucking doing shit for me. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I did all that, and then what was it? It was last year that I actually had enough money to go to Santa Monica again and play. So I didn't have to work. I didn't have to work at all. I was like, all right, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to go to school, and I'm going to play football. So I went and started in the summer. I should have started in spring, but I didn't know if I was going to do it until summer. So like how usually if you come late, like the coaches are like, oh, we don't need you. You came late. We go, well, what about these guys?
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of got that a little bit, but since I understood strength training better and all that in the programming, I was actually getting like really good results. I've always had good genetics, so I always kind of stood out. But now that I knew how to actually improve my body and like strength training and all that stuff, when I went to practice, and this is a junior college, so it's not very. It's whatever. So
it's a turd.
Yeah, so I went over there, and I was actually expecting, people like football players. I mean, there was like big people over there, but I went over there and to the practice, and then it was like I just looked around. I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm I don't even have to come to practice, and I'll probably play in the fucking games. Like this is just fucking this is fucking stupid. Um, but actually, like it was really fun, and like coaches were cool and stuff. Oh, I played on defense. I went to defense to play safety, and I stood out too much because the safeties and the DBs there were so fucking small that I didn't belong at safety at 205 pounds, which I don't weigh that now. I'm heavier now, but at 205 pounds is like, okay, in my mind, I'm like, college? Yeah, that sounds like safety to me. That sounds like free safety, strong safety, maybe even fucking corner. There's corners that are that size. And I was just,
They looked
I
at
was doing
you
this.
and they were like linebacker.
That's exactly what they fucking did. And I didn't want to play linebacker because of what happened in high school when I got the concussion. When I was in high school, when I was playing safety when I got the concussion, but I'm not gonna be that fucking stupid again. But if I played linebacker, then I would get a lot more head trauma from that. So they were like, "You need to go to linebacker," and I was like, "Fuck you." So I was like, "I'm gonna go to offense," and I always played running back as well. And I honestly think I know like people are always like, "Hey, running backs get beat up," which they do, but at least you can control how you're getting hit and like where your head is going, because on defense, you have to hit people. Like if you're a linebacker, you have to take people on, like head on and shit. Like if you're a running back, you can be elusive and kind of move out of the way and get hit. Like when I was growing up and playing running back, I honestly didn't really feel much head trauma when I was playing running back. Like my body would get bruised and cut up and shit, but it wasn't really with my head. So I was like, all right, I'll do running back. And then once again, I was there, and they were like, "Hey, you're big. You're pretty big for this position." And I was like, "What the fuck? Like, do you not know? I mean, the people in like the NFL, there's like Jerome Bettis that weighed like 250 fucking pounds. What do you mean I'm too big? I'm 205 fucking pounds. Adrian Peterson is literally like 220, 6'1". I'm 205, 6'1". Why are you saying that I'm too big? Just because of your running backs are up to my fucking shoulders, that doesn't mean that I can't play running back." And basically, these guys played last year, so they have like the favoritism. And the running back coach is actually kind of cool. He was like, he took me up to the side, and then he was like, "Hey," he was like, "I just want to like save your time. You should go back to defense and play safety because you look like a Pac-12 safety. Like my son played, he plays at UCLA as a safety and all that stuff. And he was like, you should play safety because you look like a call it like a real college safety." And I was like, "That's what I tried to do." And I was like, trying to put me at linebacker, and I was like, "That's not going to work because if I play linebacker and I move up to university, then I'm not going to have the experience that I need to play safety."
Yeah, you're not gonna have the reels for it either.
Yeah, I mean, you're still like, you're still fast. It's just that you're not
In the position that they're trying to recruit you for. So it's like
yeah,
you have the experience, but at the same time, you don't have like
the position
yeah,
experience. That's what I
yeah, they don't have anything that they can review with you in that position making plays.
right.
You're making plays at a different position. Yeah.
Yeah. So even though if I am good at linebacker, that doesn't really. I mean, sure they can say, "Oh, he's a fast linebacker, we can move him up," but they've never actually seen me play safety. So I was like, I don't really want to do that. So I went and talked back to the defensive coach, one of the assistant coaches, and he was like, "Hey, it would be nice to have you over here and all this shit." And I was like, "Okay, but I don't want to play linebacker." And he was like, "I don't know if you really have an option." And I was like, "All right, whatever. I'll give it a try." And I was like, "Okay, well, I mean, that's not that bad." So then I started playing, but what I didn't know was that they were in a 3-4. So I was playing outside linebacker, which technically means I was a defensive end basically.
Yeah.
So I'm basically on a fucking line where I don't want to be. Safety's back there. I'm on the fucking line. So I got to go up against, tackles and all that stuff and like tight
Big
ends and
boys.
shit. Yeah. Which they're still pretty fucking big at that level. All of them were over 300 pounds. So,
Yeah.
they're all still big. But I did pretty well because I'm able to like turn the corner and, like I have surprising strength for my size, I guess. So I was like really quick so I can get around them and stuff. So it worked out pretty much. It was cool. I get to the quarterback and all that. And then, but I wasn't able to like I've never played that position. So I was just kind of like, I don't like this. And my head was kind of getting whipped a little bit from like them just fucking going like this to me and shit.
Yeah, when a fat guy runs at you, you pretty much don't have any choice.
Especially when they're running the ball, like, they run at you. So I was like, all right, I mean, it's not terrible, but, I'll keep doing it. And then my coach, which is he's a fucking asshole, my head coach, what he did, he's really egotistical. And there was probably like 40 people on our defense, and he cut all of them except for 22 of us, which is first string, second string. He's like, I don't need any of you other people. He's like, you all suck, go home. And there was people that were even there like during the spring, and they were like, but I was here the whole time. And I was kind of, getting the eye because like I wasn't, and I was like, well, I don't know. So yeah, he did that. And then when one of the it was like two of the D linemen that got hurt. And then I walked into the meeting room before practice. He's like, hey, JP. He's like, I'm going to need a favor from you. And I was like, what? He's like, I'm going to need you to play D line. I was like, no. I came here to play safety. Why am I on the D line? And so, all right, I was doing the D line shit. And that was really rough, especially when I get double teamed by 2 300-pound people. I just be lifted up like this in the air. Taking on one is fine because I shoot the gap and then get through pretty easily. And there was ups and downs to it because I would actually get to the quarterback and I would get because I would time the snap really well, and then I would get through the gap before he'd even touch me. And the quarterback would drop back, and I would just fucking I would get some great shots on him. And there was a game that we played against Bakersfield, I think. Yeah, Bakersfield. So I was I was defensive tackle, and then my outside linebacker kind of cut in. It was like a play where he cut in, and I kind of went around. So he cut in, and then I got off my block, and the quarterback planted, and I just had like the most beautiful free shot ever. Like I had at least like 10 yards of sprinting, and he was just standing there looking out that way, and I was coming from this way. And I just I cleaned his fucking clock so good. And he dropped the ball, and I didn't even care about the ball. I wasn't trying to strip him or anything. I just wanted to hit the fuck out of him. And he dropped the ball, and I was laying on the ground on my stomach, and people were like landing on me and shit, and the ball like started getting kicked over toward me. And I was like, oh shit. And some guy had like his hands on it, and he was like looking at me. So he was like this. He was like, we were under the pile, and he was like that. And I was like, wait, should I just grab it and take it? I mean, technically he has it.
Yeah.
But the ref can't see.
Yeah, the ref can't see it.
I was like, I kind of feel like an asshole. So I like grabbed it, and I was like, I'll take this. And I fucking took it from me. He was just like, what the fuck? So I got it was a strip sack. It was awesome. And then those defensive tackles came back after that game, and then I was like, hey, I don't want to play on D-line anymore because my neck is fucking like paralyzed and shit. And my coach was like, all right. I was like, I want to go up to safety. He's like, I'll give you middle linebacker. I was like, okay. Because I was like, I had to argue with them too, because I was like, because like we'd always get killed on those outlet passes to the running back, because our linebackers were like fat. They weren't even like, you know,
They were
linebackers.
there
They
to
were,
stop a run, and that's about it.
yeah. And I was like, you want this to keep happening? Yeah, move me somewhere. Your safeties can't come down and stop the run because they weigh like 130 pounds. Your fucking linebackers can't keep up with the running backs, so you need to put me somewhere. And honestly, I think that he was confused on what to do with me because I could do everything, and he like didn't know where to put me. He was like, I don't know, dude. Like, I was like, put me somewhere else. I don't want to be on D line. So he put me at middle linebacker. He switched me in the fat fuck. So I was middle linebacker, and literally like the next two games that we played, which the second game was my last game, but I'll get to that. Shut down fucking everything. The run, like right when the hole would open, I would get through. I have it on my Instagram. I don't know if you checked it out, but hole would open up and I'd be in there in the backfield, like as he was getting the ball handed off, and he'd be down in the backfield. I'd fucking like just read the quarterback, pick shit off. Like the quarterback would try to, because in college they always have fast quarterbacks and like go to the outside and all that shit.
Scramble.
The option. Yeah, and that shit was not flying because I would beat him out to the corner because I was like, hey, I'm actually safety. So I'm not actually a linebacker. So yeah, I would beat him out to the corner and like everything would just shut the fuck down. Like man coverage, I'd have to cover the slot receivers. I would fucking shut them down. Like everything it was just fucked. No way. So then the last game that I played, I was actually doing really well. And toward the end of the game, which when shit didn't matter, our offense was fucking terrible, which is why we lost this game. Like, if you've ever seen like Pop Warner teams that didn't know what the fuck they were doing, it was like basically them. So our defense was actually pretty good for like our size and stuff, like how small they are, because I think our coach is pretty good. So we got away with like a lot of stuff because we're really disciplined. But we were losing because our offense would put us like on the fucking 5-yard line and shit and all that. At the end of the game, it was like game over pretty much. At the end of the game, the quarterback was like running toward my side, and then he was spinning off of one of my friends, and I went into his spin. But I always try to get my head on the side and my shoulder, but he was spinning as I was coming in, so I hit like head on, and my neck got like whipped back. And I like got like a concussion and shit. And after that, like I got checked out, and they're like, "Yeah, you got a concussion," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Great." I was like, "Well, this is probably it." I mean, it was fun. So I played like 6 games. 2 of them as I think 3 of them as a D lineman, and 3 of them as a linebacker. And just from those 6 games. I stopped playing, but just as from those 6 games, I got offers from schools. One was from Kentucky, a school in Kentucky. There was like other schools. I don't even remember, but I still have the text on my phone. They're like, "Hey, we would love to meet with you. We're from this school." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't play anymore." So, but it was nice to know like that I was good, because most people on that team, they played both years, and that was only 6 games for me. They played both years, and they didn't get any offers. And even if they did, the good players only got offers to like D3 schools and stuff, like maybe like 1 or 2. And I was like, "Hey, I only played 6 games, and I got offers." And I was like, if I played 2 years, I probably would have went to like UCLA or some shit. I don't know. And played safety like if I wanted to, but whatever. So that's kind of like my reassurance that I'm good. So I stopped playing, and I was like, well, I got the offers, so I have credibility. I'm good. So, but during that whole time, I strength trained and all that outside of practice. And right now, I got the gym. I don't know if I showed it on there, but I have a gym in my basement that I strength train in. And I read the starting strength book, practical programming. All I fucking do is literally research things to get better at strength training. I don't know if anyone knows about like barbell medicine, Austin Baraki and like Jordan Feigenbaum. They're actually like doctors, and they like do their own research studies and like what is like the best methods to like actually get stronger and all this stuff. So all they literally do is just try to like figure out ways to get better and better. And so far, I've done, I think, a great job because my lifts have gone up like crazy from where they were and my form and everything, and they're still going up like continuously. I think so. My lifts right now, or where they were, um, my squat, I think the highest I got to before even like learning any of this stuff, my squat was at like that sloppy 315, maybe for like 2, maybe. My deadlift was fucking horrible. I hurt my back multiple times. Deadlift is not bad for your back. I didn't know how to do it, so don't.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that pretty much everyone screws up on, because you always have that mentality like, I know I can do more, but that part just kind of like overrides the part of you that's like, I should focus more on my function and my proper, setup, and having
Yeah,
the correct posture. But once you get into the serious heavy weight, even wearing a belt and even having someone
yeah,
kind of spot you, you start slouching, and there's not much that you can do about it, especially when you're going in for the strength, because you can't do less weight, because then you don't get stronger. It
yeah. Right,
becomes,
right.
it becomes about overloading on the weight itself, and less about the reps. So
Right.
it's kind of like this, catch 22 situation where you kind of have to let the posture go a little bit just to get that
Oh
extra
yeah,
little
yeah,
oomph.
yeah. There's no, there's not technically like a bad form. Your body adapts to what you do, so it's not like, I mean, there is bad form. Like you can have your back all flexed and stuff like
Yeah,
that's
trying to
bad.
maintain your neutral back position as much as possible. It's always the
Yeah,
shoulders that give in.
but at the same time, if someone does, like there's people that do rounded back deadlifts on purpose so that their spine adapts to the load in that actual position, and they actually do it that way. Even like this, like really really strong people that lift like 800 pounds, they do that shit too. So it's like
Yeah.
at the same time, you can't really say like, oh, this is like bad form when it's just not the norm. Like your body can adapt to it as long as it's introduced in small increments, basically. Which,
The body's very highly adaptable to yeah, like you said, like small migrations away from, I guess what would be considered to be like perfect or a flawless position,
yeah,
because you are giving the body enough time to be able to adapt to those, micro, what would you call them, like micro, uh, I don't know the word I'm trying to look for here. Just micro movements away from perfect posture in order for
yeah,
your body to adapt, and, to be able to get through it.
yeah,
I mean, I think that, even those people that do those kind of like rounded shoulder type things, I mean, they're also usually like professional athletes. So they know what they're
yeah,
doing. They've got the chiropractor that's helping to rebalance everything back and making sure that, ligaments aren't being messed up, or, tendons aren't being pulled and stuff like that. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I mean,
What
that's
was I
kind of where
saying?
you're heading though, because you want to be in that realm, that, powerlifting kind of mentality.
Yeah, I've never actually like wanted to be a powerlifter, but now that I'm getting like really strong, I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, why not? I guess. So I guess that's where I'm kind of heading. Um, but what I was saying about my lifts before, I would actually just get you shit like off of YouTube and all that. Like
Oh yeah, the
like
fitness
Athlete
dudes.
X, yeah, Athlete X, and like all the other shit, and they literally just make things worse. They're fucking terrible. Um, I would try to do like deadlifts just from like watching their video when they didn't even like. I go back and watch their videos and like their tutorials on how to do exercises, and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe they're actually allowed to teach shit, because it's just fucking, it's terrible. Most of the things that I see is like, oh, you want to learn how to do a deadlift? Well, you don't want your back involved at all. You want to squat the weight up. You know, when you could be in a perfectly vertical torso position. And then, you know, like before I was like, oh, that makes sense. And I would try to do that. And then that would just happen to like shoot my hips up anyways, because you have to pull it with the hips high, like higher anyways. So no matter what, even if you're in a low hip position, when the weight leaves the floor, the hips have to be high, like anyways. So then they would shoot up and then my back would be like, oh no. And then I would get into like a worse position than I would have been anyways, which is why my deadlift would be, I think when I started deadlifting, like 295 was really tough. Like 315 was super fucking tough. Like it was like very bad. My upper body movements were like pretty good, but I always fuck up my shoulders during bench press. Also, but again, because I didn't know the movement. I'm not saying that it does now, but it's just not knowing how to, or not being guided right. It just messes everything up, and it like changes your, I guess, perception on like, oh, strength training is just bad for you. Like it's just bad for your joints. If you lift heavy, it's totally just gonna fuck you up and all this shit. When if you learn it the right way and you learn from smart people, strength training actually makes your life longer, increases bone density, joint health, muscle function, which is why do you think like older people, they get very weak and basically like they can't get up from a chair, they fall, they crack their hip and all that stuff, but that's because they didn't strength train and their body got weak, so they can't do shit on their own, and their joints and bones are very fragile. So if they strength trained, then they wouldn't be in that position. So strength training is pretty much a fix it all type thing if you know how to do it right. And people don't, like some people, a lot of people don't give strength training credit. They want to give credit to like mobility and stretching and foam rolling and all this stuff when it doesn't actually really help. It's the strengthening of the muscles and all that. So
one good example of someone who does it well is Stephen Lang. You know, I've been watching him over the years, and I mean he's in excellent shape, and you know, the way that he's been tackling, you know, getting older but also still being able to maintain himself as, you know, a fit individual. I mean he's doing it well. I mean I've never heard of him ever getting injured from his working out. I thought in Don't Breathe he looked fantastic.
Oh, that's him. I saw
Yeah.
Don't Breathe. I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, I mean he looks incredible, and he was in Avatar, and from the time Avatar came out to when Don't Breathe came out, I mean Avatar came out in like what 2003, 4, 5, something like that, and like he doesn't look a day older, and he actually looks like he's in better shape in Don't Breathe, and even like since then, like I've seen some appearances and whatnot that he's been out. I mean, the dude still looks pretty stacked. I mean, he looks as good as you would want to be, and I think he's in his mid 60s.
Yeah. Also, what's his name? I don't know. I'm not like a huge.
No, he's almost 70, and he looks. I mean, I think he personally looks better than Arnold. He looks better than Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. It's because he's healthy. Like he trains the right way. What's his name? Hugh Jackman.
Oh man, Hugh Jackman got ripped and just, man, he was a scary ass Wolverine.
Well, there was it's Hollywood, so there's probably steroids or whatever. But on the side of that, if you saw the way that he trained was deadlifts and squats and bench and all that, it wasn't like all the other, you know, shenanigans that people do. It was the main movements that actually help you, you know, move. That's what we're born to do, is bend, squat, lunge, all that, you know, good stuff, and progressively overload it so that we adapt and get stronger.
Another person who I think did a really good job was Chris Evans as he was becoming Captain America, because he's, you know, because a lot of people, especially now with everyone being trapped inside with COVID, everybody's like, oh man, I'm getting fat. But, he was a person like I started out where it's just like impossible to gain weight. It's all about our bodies just want to be thin. They don't want to put
Mhm.
on muscle really easily. They don't put on fat
Yeah.
very easily. And so, for me, seeing someone that has about the same body type that I do and someone who's about the same height and the same, similar genetics, seeing someone that's able to, bust through all these kind of plateaus that most people would hit along the way. Because I mean, I think he naturally set it around like 160, 165, and he was up at like 195 for the first Captain America. And
Mhm.
then I think during the first Avengers, he was doing a competition to try and get his arms as big as Chris Hemsworth. They were having a
Yeah.
competition to see whose arms were going to get bigger. So it was just really cool to see somebody who's coming from that, really skinny perspective and trying to build on that muscle mass. And, looking over his regimen, I mean, it was a really good regimen. There wasn't anything like super special about it, but man, it was so effective. And his
The
eating
simpler
was
it is, the better it is. The compound movements, that's all.
exactly. Yeah. And so many people try to get so complicated and try and
Yeah,
work the
exactly.
muscle from like 5 different exercises when like two will do.
But the thing is that the people that try to make it complicated are the people that don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. Yep.
They because they don't know that the research supports the simple stuff, and that's why it's been around the longest, and that's why it's the best. I used to look for all that complicated shit when I was dumb, younger. I'd always try to look for that stuff. Like I'd look for I'd look on Google best program to gain muscle, and then if it was like squat, bench, deadlift, I'd be like, oh, get that shit out of here. That's not gonna do anything. And then I get like one of those workouts that was like a laundry list, and I was like, "That's what I want right there. That looks like it's gonna work." But no, not at
Yeah.
all. Not
I
one
mean, it's
fucking bit.
it's it's difficult because like my old mentor used to say, fitness isn't rocket science, but then again, it is. Because like the more you go down the rabbit hole, the more you learn, but it has a tendency to overwhelm people.
Yeah,
And instead of being like tools in a toolbox, they just use it as like a buffet and they just keep going back to do more and more and more and more and more.
yeah,
And I think overtraining at this point has become more of the norm than undertraining, which is kind of a weird concept for me.
yeah. It depends on the person, I guess. How do I explain? Like under it's more of like a mindset, I would say. Like
Yeah,
not really people that know what they're doing. It's more the people that say like they don't know what they're doing, but like this group of people have a lazy mindset, so they're going to do the minimal. And
yeah,
these people have a strong mindset, so they're going to just go in every day and like the football guys, they go in there every day and fucking go 100%. Which you don't do
yeah.
that because you can't sustain it and you can't build off of it because you need to have a gradual increase and everything. So yeah, it depends on like the mindset, but once you learn how to actually do stuff, it's like a mixture. Like when I first started learning how to do my stuff, the way that I do it now, it was less than what I used to do technically, because I only do 3 exercises and I only work out 3 times a week. Before I used to work out 6 times a week with like 10 exercises per day. And I have much better results now because I understand how to do it. So that was like the difference. And it's kind of, I can't even imagine myself going back to the other way. Like I have so much more time. And I mean, who wouldn't want to have more time and more results? So that's how I feel about that. I'm really happy about that happening because I don't think I would have been able to sustain 6 fucking days, a bunch of shit. I don't know.
And you brought up a good point earlier about your genetics as well, because your genetics plays so much of a
Yeah.
factor in what you're going to look like, what type of training is going to be effective for you. Especially people don't put enough time into like what is going to be the diet that works for me too. What is my sleep
Yeah.
schedule going to be? You can't be like you can't be Rich Piana and sleep like 3-4 hours and just, you know, go to the gym and inject and stuff like that. You know, that's not healthy.
Yeah,
It's not sustainable. But,
yeah,
you know,
that's
putting in the time to learn what it is that, you know, provides the right amount of substance, both with your lifting and then also eating for that particular goal.
yeah,
Oh, and
yeah,
sleeping, of course.
yeah.
Because I mean, I've seen people that could sleep, you know, like 5-6 hours and they're good, and you know, other people, you know, you might need like 10 hours to get like a real full chemical rebalance in order to, you know, push your body from a chemical level to, um, you know, kind of reduce the amount of time that you need to heal.
Yeah. Yeah, the genetics is really cool, especially like in strength training. Um, and like how you say, like you program differently because of like someone's genetics, and that's true. Because before, even myself, but a lot of trainers kind of just do the same shit. Honestly, it seems like trainers, like
One size
NSCA,
fits all.
exactly. Yeah, they just
Yeah.
do. You know, what's this? Workout on Instagram. You know, I'm going to give it to my client because
Yep.
they want to burn fat, but you know, they don't know that you can burn fat with exercise. It doesn't have to be a specific workout, but the what was it? The genetics. So, like what I was saying before about like when I gained all that weight in high school, because I was really receptive to the strength training, um, I just adapted really well when other people didn't. So, how I like to explain this is your genetics in strength training fall on a spectrum. So, there's resistant on one side and then basically sensitive on the other side. So, people with very good genetics are going to be very sensitive to strength training. So, they can do literally just go in the gym and do like 2 sets of 5 on the squat, bench, deadlift 2-3 days a week, and they will continue to get results for a long time because they're very sensitive to the training. On the other hand, these resistant people with like average genetics, you know, whatever, um, they go in and they do 2 sets of 5 just like they did like the athletes, but they don't get the same amount of results as the athletes do.
Correct.
Because they're resistant to strength training. So the thing that people don't understand, or trainers, they're like, well, the athletes need to do more because they're athletes. They need to do more. But technically, they don't. They can actually get away with doing less. And doing more isn't actually going to help them because they're already getting results doing less. The only time you need more is if they plateau. Then you need more. But these resistant people, like say older people, average genetics, they need more. Like people are always like, older people, they don't need much because they're fragile. They only need like 1 set, you know, whatever, very like really lightweight. But that's not helping them at all because again, they're resistant. So they need more exposure to the strength training so that they can adapt. Because as you know, your body or all of our bodies are adaptive organisms. So there's the stress, recovery, and adaptation cycle. And everyone goes through that in a different way or in a faster process. Like an athlete goes through it faster than the older or average genetic person. So you need more exposure to strength training if you're older or have average genetics. You need more volume, you need more weight, like basically like more overall volume or like workload so that you can be more sensitive to the work, which is kind of the opposite of what people think. Because people think athletes need to do more and older people, average genetics, need to do less. But these people aren't going to get anywhere if you treat them like that. So
come in and do their like, you know, very lax 10 sets of whatever you set up for them for 30 minutes, and then they go home and they're like, I did something, but you know, realistically, nah, it's not any more than if they went to the grocery store and picked up a gallon of milk or something.
Yeah, 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 and they don't understand that. It's I guess at first it's kind of weird to grasp because it's like, well, why do I want the old person doing more than the athlete? Which I mean, you know, that's not how it always is. It just depends on where they start. Um, like if you go in and you do your 2 sets of 5, say 2 days a week, and they're getting results and it's working, then just stay there. And then say a couple weeks later they plateau, they're not going up and weight anymore. Then okay, you got on a set, 3 sets of 5 now, or you might add another day of 2 sets of 5, and that's just how it works until it works again, basically.
Yeah.
So it all depends on where they start. You can't start everybody at the same spot. Like you can't start this average person. Like if they need more volume or they need more exposure, you're not going to start them out with like 10 sets of 10. Like you don't do that. That's not what I mean. You need to start people out at a minimal stress level, and if they respond to it, then keep it there. But if they don't, then up it a little bit. That's it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people get kind of antsy and don't have like those good long-term goals that continue to drive them to be successful, because you notice a lot more people, like I said earlier, I think the generation has come to more of the idea of overtraining instead of smart training.
Yeah, right.
And
Smart training. Smart training is a good term.
yeah, I mean, it's the only real way to describe it, because I mean, there are people that have insane genetics and they will do insane workouts and they will get really good results, but that's not any, um, you're not going to give praise to the workout. You're giving praise to the person's genetics.
Yeah.
So it's when you have those people that are very resistant to morphology and their fat to lean muscle ratio, or whether they're just trying to become more, what you want to say with old people, like they're trying to become more functional. So when you see the changes in that sort of relationship, that is something that is really showing the level of commitment and the level of knowledge that you have in order to gain the results of that long-term goal. Because just because you're 65, 70 years old doesn't mean you can't still run a couple miles if you want to. It's all just about preparation. It's about strengthening. It's about overall conditioning.
That's what I feel like is dangerous. People are they try to protect old people from working out when all that's doing is making their situation worse.
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't be working out. They shouldn't, do this and that when they're literally just going to die earlier, pretty much. Like
exactly. Yeah. I mean, what kind of quality of life do you want to have? And if you look at people who take care of themselves by generally eating pretty well, and also I think the most important part is going to the gym, taking walks, any little thing that kind of pushes your body to go out of the norm of the day to day. Because obviously, if you just sit there and read and keep your mind sharp, well, that helps that aspect of it. But when you end up becoming more susceptible to like diabetes or other um, kind of like food issues, then that's stuff that breaks the body down. So it's good to have that strong immune system, strong muscles, the ability to handle a surgery. There's a lot of things that trainers just don't think about when you get into someone who's either special needs or on that resistant side of transformation.
That's also, what was it? There was a point that I was trying to bring up. I guess like what you were saying about like the guy that works out like all these like crazy workouts, and he gets the results. But like similar to my situation where I did like the 6 days a week, like I didn't need to do that because I still would have got the same results, even because I'm sensitive to the weight training, and like that's I don't know. I'm not trying to like bag on trainers. I mean, even, I don't know. I mean, a lot of trainers are bad. Like even trainers that are up in the, I guess, strength training coaches, strength coaches, like people that teach in college and all that stuff, teach professional athletes as well. People think that they're good strength coaches because they're training athletes, but is their job really that hard if they're already
Yeah.
genetically gifted? And on top of that, I mean, they can literally do anything. And since these genetic freaks are so sensitive to training, anything really works for them anyways. So that doesn't really mean that they're a good trainer. They're a good trainer if they take someone average and make them into someone that's advanced, you know? And I only say that because, I mean, before I was like, oh man, these guys must know a lot. And I'd always look up like, oh, I don't know, like some NFL teams workout regimen from the trainer or whatever, because I wanted to know what they did. And like they knew everything because they're up there. So I was like, okay, I want to be like them. But when I went to SMC last year, I knew like pretty much most things. Not as much as I know now, but I signed up or I enrolled in a what class was it? It was like an assistant, like personal training assistant, like strength, like I'm assisting a strength coach basically, and I would sometimes be forced to go into the gym with the football team and get trained by the strength coach. And there was that strength coach, and there was a strength coach that I would assist in like my class. That was like my unit or whatever. So I'll save my class after I tell this one. The strength coach that I had for the football team, he wasn't terrible, but he could have been better. Especially for someone that gets paid as much as him and that has a degree and all this stuff. Wasn't very, I mean, so he had like bench press. Okay, cool, good. Then he had a bunch of like just not necessary exercises, like kneeling on one knee and pressing a dumbbell and like doing crunches and all this stuff. And it's like, why waste your time with that stuff when the compound movements do all that for you? Anyways, you get stability by doing heavy compound exercises. You build core strength doing heavy compound exercises. There's no need to do this. You can't even progressively overload this very much. So just stick to the basics. And on top of that, I mean, I wasn't there when he instructed on how to do it really. These like the bench or anything. He instructed one thing, which is like a Romanian deadlift, and it wasn't very good. But from what I can tell, the people that were doing bench press, besides me, weren't very good. Like their form was very bad. So I'm assuming that he didn't teach it very well. So I was like, well, this guy's getting paid a lot of money. He should know how to do all this, but he doesn't. So that kind of sucks. And I was like, well, it probably doesn't get much worse than that. They're probably like that. Just, like that. They're all like that here or whatever. Then I went to my class. It was to assist my strength coach. So I was just sitting in there waiting, and there was people in the weight room, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm the assistant. What up?" And this dude walks in, and he's probably like 55. He walks in. He has 2 blown out knees. He just like wobbles in. He's like a big dude. I don't think he's very healthy. So he walked in, and he used to be like a football coach, so he was like a loud dude. And again, he has a degree, and like he's a strength coach, literally a strength coach. That's his title, so he should know how to do things, right? And okay, so the first day, he walks in. He's like, "All right, so since it's the first day, you can all just do your own thing. I'm gonna do my own workout. Have fun." and I didn't work out because I already worked out before that, so I was watching people. So I was looking at his workout because I just wanted to see, what does he do? And literally all he did was arms and shoulders. That was it. Literally, that's it. And he was just like bragging. He's like, "Oh yeah, look, ooh, I can, do like 50-pound dumbbells." And I was like, okay. And then I started looking around the weight room, and people were just doing and these are people that like have never lifted before, and they have access to barbells. And I was just looking around, and I was just like, oh no. It's like shit. So that wasn't good, but I was like, maybe he was just like, he didn't care. Like, okay, whatever. Second day I went in there, and he's like, all right, today we're gonna actually, we have an agenda. We're gonna do this and that. And literally right when he said the agenda, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? He was like, today we're gonna or he told us what we're gonna do for the week. So he was like, every day that you come in here for this week, the first day we're gonna max out on bench, second day squat, third deadlift, and fourth was like overhead press. And I was like, you do realize that they've never lifted before, right? Like, you're gonna have these people do a RPE 10 maximal lift on a lift that they've never done before, right? I didn't say that to him, but I was just like, okay, this is gonna be fucking great. So first day, every day he showed how to do the exercise. Like, I was the example, like I would do the actual movement, and he would go over. It was like 5 minutes, about 5 to 10 minutes. It was a decent explanation of how to do the movement. But again, some people don't respond to certain cues and all that stuff. So on top of that, he would do a whole ab circuit before we even did any strength training. Whole entire ab circuit, which isn't good because you're
blowing out your core.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna do a whole ab circuit, like a killer. I'm talking about like a killer ab circuit, like hurts. Like they're like, ouch.
I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to isolate the muscles more, but that's not an effective way to find out a person's max, especially if they're inexperienced.
Yeah, and that was like a routine. He was like, we're gonna do abs like 10 minutes full, just fucking kill your abs. And before you do abs, he did like static stretching and shit, which I don't like, but I'll get to that another time. So he did that, and I can only imagine how that feels to like do a whole ab circuit and then get under like a heavy ass barbell and squat. That would probably not be fun. So I'm not even, I mean, the bench day was terrible, obviously, because everyone's shoulders were like coming up and blah, blah, blah. I was trying to it felt like, what did it feel like? Like if you open a cabinet and shit starts falling out and you're just like, oh shit. And you start, that's what I felt like. I was like, no. That's what I felt like. And so like on bench day, I was like, okay, it's just bench. They don't go that heavy because they're weak. So I'm like, whatever. I tried to help as many people as I could, but squat and deadlift, I was like, oh shit, man. There was like deadlift looked fucking scary. Squat was very scary. And the coach was just like, he was like impressed. Like when people would deadlift, someone would deadlift heavy but with bad form. He's like, there you go. I'm like, no. What the fuck? That's not good.
Yeah. What is like, you're gonna get him for about 2 games and then he's gonna be done for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and so in my head, I'm just like, I went in there for about 6 weeks, and literally everyone just started listening to me because I was like telling people what to do, and I would actually help them. And someone would be like, they would be doing bench press, and they're like, hey, my shoulder hurts. And I was like, oh, let me look at your form. I'd fix it. They're like, my back hurts. I'd fix everything, whatever, tell them how to do it right. And then, so they were all just like listening to me, basically. And then I had to stop going there because I got that concussion and shit in week 6 or whatever. But in my head, I was like, this guy. I talked to him actually. He was like kind of being, I guess, personal. He was like, I make all this money. I only got to go to 2 classes and I get paid over 100K a year. And I'm like, dude, you get paid over 100K? You're a fucking idiot. Like, you're like the dumbest fucking trainer I've ever fucking seen in my entire life, and you get paid all that fucking money. So what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't matter what level the trainer is at, even if they're, like they just have an NSCAA certificate, or if they got degrees and all this other shit. It doesn't fucking matter. Like they can be fucking terrible either way. So you just really have to pay attention to who's actually like passionate and who's been in the game for a long time and actually like listens to research and the basics, and not to people that like, hey, I have this certification and all this shit. That doesn't matter. It really doesn't. That's what I gotta say.
One thing that was given to me as a piece of knowledge to kind of consider that I like to pass on to people if they ever ask about training and stuff like that is the guy that I shadowed that was a bodybuilder and a boxer. So one of his like top clients was a doctor. So
Mhm.
you as a personal trainer need to know your shit because you never know who your client is
Yeah.
until later.
Yeah.
So when they come in with a medical degree and you're able to go into the intricacies of the muscles and proper form and what you're activating, what you're not activating and stuff like that, I mean, you never know who's going to have that knowledge on either a similar or a better level than you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
someone that's in that position is going to know you're full of shit almost instantly. But if you know what you're doing and they like to go to you and they respect the journey that you're taking them on to get to whatever goal they have, that just shows a lot of confidence that a person knows what they're doing and that they spent the time to kind of, and I think a lot of it comes down to like your own personal growth too, because you see so many meatheads that become personal trainers just because they're like, again, going back to genetics, they got the good genetics, they can lift however they want, they're pretty much going to get it. But people like myself and like you who have actually, we like the science of it. We look at it as an equation and we're trying to figure out what the best way to equal X is. And X being, for you, strength, and for me, for most of my life, was strength as well. But now it's kind of switched over as I've gotten older. Now I'm looking more at like, I want to see 200 pounds. I want to see what 200 pounds looks like on my frame. And, going back to Chris Evans, who's a similar size, he's got that medium frame, similar height, just his bone structure and everything looks similar to mine. So I kind of have like that frame of reference, like this is what a good, 200, 205 pounds looks like on my frame. And I'm like, I want to see if I can do that with my genetics.
Yeah, no, you can definitely do that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, now that I'm able to hit up over, because the most I'd ever weighed before was only like 180, and now I'm at like 185. And granted,
what's your height right now?
I'm 5'11".
Oh, you can definitely hit 200 for sure.
But see, it took me like massive amounts of time to figure things out because I originally started working out probably in like middle school because I used to go with like my mom and I loved being in the gym. So that's kind of how I started with it. I played sports and whatnot, but we didn't do any team lifts. We had to do our lifts on our own for the most part in baseball.
Yeah.
So I mean, since I played baseball for like 8-9 years, I was always kind of doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then shoot into high school and I started getting kind of close with the gym teacher who showed me a lot about lifting and stuff. And he was very knowledgeable. But it wasn't until I started working at the gym and I was able to be around people who I knew their shit. And I was able to shadow them and kind of watch what they did, how they dealt with their clients. Because, personal training is 50% knowing your shit and 50% having the salesmanship of yourself, because the person's really buying you. They're not buying a product. You are the product. So
that's the tricky thing. That, like you said, like at a gym, you found people that knew their shit. That's the tricky thing, is that you don't know who knows their shit. Like I
Yeah, you can
said,
invest time into, shadowing someone or following someone around or getting advice, and then like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months later, you're like, they don't really know that much.
yeah, yeah. So like I said, it was like the person that just got their certificate, or the person that has all these degrees, or the person at the gym. Like you don't know who actually knows their shit. It could be any one of them. It's like you have to get lucky, kind of like with trainers. Like you literally just have to get lucky. There's like maybe sure there's like a better chance of the guy with the degrees might have yeah, like a higher chance to like know more, but at the same time all of them can be like that diamond in the rough. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
It's not like this guy that has degrees is no matter what he's got all his shit. That's not no.
I mean,
Um,
I've met a lot of people with degrees in, kinesiology or strength coach, everything that they've changed. I mean, kinesiology's changed titles like 50 times over the past like 5 years. But, I find a common occurrence with people who come from a background of, learning to get the degree, and that's that they have the anatomy down usually really well. They
mhm.
have the anatomy of the lifts down really well. They know the surface level science of it, but they typically don't have the like real world experience
Yeah,
that really backs that up and shows kind of more of the journey, because they're just trying to I guess they're just trying to show that they can get from point A to point B, and there's all these different methods, but they just kind of do the cookie cutter one. They don't have
right.
like the imagination that comes out of it.
Yeah, that's what kind of confused me because like someone that has a degree and they know all this stuff about anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, and how your body stress recovery adaptation cycle is, and all that stuff. It's like if you know all that, then you know how to train. I'm not trained, but like you know how the body works. You know what the body needs. You know how to get
Yeah,
it
you
bigger
know
and
that you
stronger.
know the science. You have the
Yeah,
knowledge, but not the wisdom.
that's why I'm confused because it's like, okay, why are these people with degrees not doing the right thing then if they know, all this anatomy and all that? Like it's literally just about adapting your body, like the organism, and that's it. And that's all they studied and they don't know how to do it, which I don't get, which I guess maybe is because training or making programs and all that, which, when you make programs, you're making the program to have your body adapt, that your body's following a program so that it can stress recovery, adapt, and all that. Um, but I guess for some people, they just don't understand like how to program. I feel like programming is kind of more of an art form.
Yeah.
People have some people have it, some people don't. Like I feel like I'm a really good programmer, like for strength training. I just have a feel for it. I don't know why. I just naturally kind of do, but I also understand like the science that goes behind it as well, which
I
also
think
helps
it.
me.
I think you said earlier it's about the passion for the subject.
Yeah,
Because if you're passionate about it, then it's fun for you to get to know more and more and more, and to test your own hypotheses, and see what it is that changed you. And like you said, you went from this like 6 times a week down to like half of that, and you're basically getting the same or even better results.
yeah, and I think that's what's missing from the people with degrees is that, like me, I mean, I have like both sides of it. I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of trial and error in the gym. Like messing up form, bad programming. I've tried literally almost everything that you possibly fucking do in the gym, so I know what to do and what not to do. But I also know the science and the reason of why, like doing it differently now is better or whatever. So that's, I think, what they don't have. Like they have kind of the hard part, they just don't have the experience.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's I've learned a lot more on my own kind of personal journey, dealing with my own genetics, and trying to achieve what I wanted to achieve, than even I did when I was shadowing, and just over the years of my personal training as a job. the experience that I gained from that, it just pales in comparison to the amount of years that I put into myself and my different goals that I've had. I mean, like I said earlier, I've done the strength thing, and you know, I have kind of a tendency to do well when it comes to strength, but after throwing so many years in baseball sidearms, my rotator cuff so messed up these days, and just other joint issues. So it's like trying to be like real lean and trying to hit those heavy weights. I mean, my joints just don't like it anymore. So that's why I kind of decided to switch over and say, hey, you know what? Let me go with more of a hypertrophic mindset. Let me go in there and try and gain weight and just kind of see what I can do with my kind of lean muscle genetical plateau, see where I can go and maybe even break through. I mean, I might even test 220 or something like that just to kind of see what it feels like.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think you could possibly do both, like hypertrophic and strength training. Like you don't have to do all strength training. You don't have to do all hypertrophy.
Very true.
Because at the same time, you need, strength training, you need to get stronger, progressive overload to be able to use heavier weights and have your body to adapt and get bigger anyways. Like hypertrophy will work, but in my experience, especially, I did a lot of hypertrophy before and I got results, but up to a certain point, and then I didn't get results anymore because I wasn't doing heavier weight because I was just doing hypertrophy.
Yeah.
And training in a certain percentage of your 1 rep max, depending on what it is. Usually the rep or the percentage range is 68% to about 83% is an effective range to train at on average during your sessions because they recruit the most motor units without actually taxing out the nervous system. So that's a really good range to train in, and that's usually between the 4 to 8 rep range. So like my training is usually 5s, but I might go to 4, I might go to 6, sometimes 8 if I'm doing like a fatigue management movement, like a close grip bench press or something like that, or just to mix things up or whatever. But what I've learned, because I've also had injuries, I played football and stuff. So what I didn't mention was during my football season at SMC, I actually tore some cartilage in my shoulder, in this right shoulder, because I was on the D line, which is why I didn't want to fucking be on the D line. I took on a block, or I wasn't taking on a block. I was trying to hit the sled, as they say. I hit him, and then I tried to throw him, but he didn't move. So this shoulder right here just went
all that compression and the joint. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
like a hyperextension almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you're trying to throw a 350-pound dude, that's usually what happens.
Yeah. I know. My mind was like, you can do it. And my shoulder was like
nah.
And then that kind of happened on this shoulder because it was kind of a habit. So because I would always do that to people. Like when I played as safety or played as linebacker, the fullback would come up to me, I'd hit him, and I'd just fucking throw him to the ground. Like that was a habit. And I tried to do it to the big guy, and then it was just like, ouch.
Yeah.
So I got fucked up here. I had a fucked up neck. What else did I have? My lifting injuries from my previous, like what I said before, how I was fucking terrible with my lifts. They fucked me up a lot, actually. I have it's like knee tendonitis, or I had it. Like really inflames the top of my kneecap. Because when I would squat, I would high bar squat, and I didn't have the proper technique or mobility really. But I mean, mobility doesn't really matter, just because I didn't really know how to get down at that position properly, and I wasn't aware of like how my feet were moving and all that stuff. So what was happening was like a knee valgus, and my ankles would collapse as well. So I would squat like that for a long time, doing like 315. I didn't know, so I would do that, and I would get inflamed kneecap. And then I would fuck up my lower back with deadlifts, like my SI joints. They would get, fucked up, and then tendons would feel like they would be pulled and all this shit. I really fucked up my shoulder, my left AC joint, which is the collarbone that connects to the shoulder blade or the clavicle, basically, it connects those two bones right here. I fucked that up because I was actually pretty good at benching, but I didn't have the complete knowledge of it. Like I didn't, I guess, completely understand the shoulders back. Like I knew it, but I didn't know how important it was. I was like, well, if my shoulders lift, it's okay. And when I lifted my shoulders, sometimes I could get weight up a little bit easier. So sometimes I would do that. So I was doing, I think like 275. I did like a isometric hold for like 5 seconds, and I tried to get it up. I went like this, and then this thing just went like that and like cracked. So that like split or like pinched the nerve in between the bones. So I have a like fair share of injuries, which today they do not bother me at all, and they only started going away when I started actually strength training the right way, which brings me to that point because, like for you, how you were saying that your shoulder hurts because of throwing a baseball and all that stuff.
But it doesn't, when I work out, it doesn't hurt so much, but it gets stuck.
Mhm.
Like it's just one of those where like I get it to a certain point and it almost kind of feels like it pops out a little bit. And so it's not that I don't have like the strength or like a tendon or something.
No, yeah. No, I understand.
I just get caught in the middle, like.
Like for me, it helped me. Like I had shoulder pain, right?
Yeah.
What helped my shoulder pain was not foam rolling or stretching, chest stretch, door stretch. It wasn't physical therapy. It wasn't any of that shit because, in my opinion, none of that shit fucking works anyways. What worked for me and for a lot of people was overhead press, which a lot of people don't recommend, and bench press the right way.
Yeah.
Because if you're injured, like say in here, joint, if you're doing overhead press or something that works that joint, you're moving it in a range of motion that is making it more mobile. You're strengthening the joint, strengthening the ligaments and tendons around the joint and the muscles. And overall, since it's moving in a range of motion that you can move in pain-free, it'll get stronger and it'll heal, which I didn't understand before. So when I get an injury, I'd be like, well, I need to foam roll, I need to stretch, I need to do all this stuff. I need to, not put any weight on the bar, do like very light stuff. And the funny thing is, my shoulders got better the heavier that I would go with the right form. So I would start, say, overhead press, I'd do 100 pounds. It'd feel good. It'd feel better than not doing overhead press. And then I come in, I do 120, 140, 150, 160. And as I kept getting stronger and stronger at overhead press, pain literally just went away. And the bench press, pain literally just went away. Same thing with my knee. My squat got all like so much stronger, which means my muscles got stronger, protecting the joint. Pain went away. Like deadlift, same thing. Back pain, no more. I'm deadlifting literally like almost 500 pounds now. It's no back pain. So that's what I'm trying to say. So like for you, like how you say it gets stuck, training in a range of motion that you're able to train in and progressively overloading it, I feel like would help you a lot. Not, you don't have to force it into a certain range of motion, only if you go into that range of motion if you feel like you can, but for the time being would be to stick in that range of motion and get stronger in that range of motion until you can get down deeper, basically.
The thing that's helped me, I think, the most was just kind of re-envisioning what I was doing and breaking down each muscle that's supposed to be activated during the lift. And I think myself, as well as a lot of new people that go in and do bench press especially, is you don't have your elbows in the right place. You're not pushing with your lats. And, for me, being able to keep those arms in and really activate my chest more, it just changes the way that the joint is in the shoulders. So it's like I hardly ever lock up anymore with it, as opposed to when I was doing them like out here like this, like, almost full shoulder. really
Yeah.
push those in there. You feel it. I saw my gains and my bench press went up like really quickly after that. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a testament to, really finding out what it is that you're supposed to have function when you're doing a particular movement, especially in compound.
Yeah. 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 The bench press, people don't really understand that the bench press is actually more of a, no, not more of a, but it's just as much of a leg movement that it is a upper body movement. And
Everything needs to
that's,
be flexed, and like
yeah,
everybody's just like only my arms or only my chest or yeah.
yes. And that's what got me hurt
Hmm.
because I didn't really do leg drive before, in which if you don't have leg drive, then you can't help pin your shoulders against the bench.
Yep.
Because that's what the leg drive is for, is to pin your shoulders against the bench so that your shoulders stay there when you're lifting the heavy weight. So now all I really focus on when I bench is leg drive. Like that's it. And everything else just kind of does its own thing. If I have leg drive, I'm good and everything's tight. My lats and everything, my arch is good. The weight goes up easy and powerful. But if I don't have enough leg drive, my shoulders come up. And then I'm sloppy, like I'm wobbly, and then I rack it and I stand up and my shoulder pain comes back if I don't have
Yeah.
leg drive. So people don't really understand that. Like in bench press, they kind of just think it's like, oh, I'm just going to lay on my back and I'm going to press. And unfortunately, that's how, I don't know if you watch the combine, but you know how they have the 225-pound bench press?
Yeah, max lift. Yep.
And all of them, literally almost all of them, don't use leg drive, and they just like bounce the weight and they're like doing this and that.
Yep.
And that's why I say that, they're trained by professional trainers, right?
Yeah.
So why the fuck are they
Professional.
exactly? So why the fuck are they having technique like that? You
Yeah.
can't trust these trainers. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what certifications or degrees that they have, because if they were good, then they wouldn't be doing shit like that.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
from what I've seen, from like literally what I always see, like online, people with these degrees, they always try to hype themselves up to be like really smart. So they don't want to stick with the simple thing. It's either that they don't want to stick with the simple things because they want to sound smart and like they know the simple things work, but they just want to sound like they want to stand out, or they don't know that the simple things work and they think that this complex stuff is better. And what I always see is like, especially for athletes, is like standing on a Bosu ball and like balance stuff, like doing multiple movements in one movement, uh, like combining people's sport in their strength training. Like if you're a fucking baseball player, you get a medicine ball and you throw it against the wall, which isn't good, because if you do that in baseball, say like if you're throwing a heavier object than the object that you swing and practice with. So all that's doing is fucking up your technique because you're not actually going to use that weight in the game.
Yeah.
So it's not actually doing anything. It's not getting you stronger because it's such a light object. You can't just go up to a fucking 200-pound medicine ball. And but they say that they're trying to gain power. That's what I always see too. They're like, well, we're not training for strength. We're trying to get power. And I'm like,
Yeah. So
well,
stupid.
do you not know the definite, like the only way to get more power is to get more strength, because strength is like, or power is strength, just displayed quickly. That's all it is.
Yep.
Like an example I always like to use is, okay, well, power. So who do you think can power clean more? Say, because okay, we're all born differently. We all are born. Some people like with better genetics are born more powerful than other people because they have more fast twitch muscle fibers and stuff, right? So, who do you think would be able to power clean more? Since power clean is a like the best judgment of who is more powerful, because it's literally called a power clean. The person that deadlifts 300 pounds, or the person that deadlifts 800 pounds. Who do you think can power clean more? But the person that deadlifts 300 pounds is more powerful, like technically, like their muscle fibers or genetics are powerful. Like they train for power all the time, literally all the fucking time. They're so powerful. but this 800-pound deadlifter guy doesn't do that at all. Who do you think is still going to power clean more? The 300-pound deadlifter or the 800-pound deadlifter?
I mean, 800 pounds, if you go down and even do like 400 pounds, it's not going to be
Yeah.
like anything to him. It's going to be like picking up a baby.
That's what I'm saying. Because even if he doesn't train for power or the technique of power cleans, he's still going to be able to get a heavier weight up because he's stronger. It doesn't matter how powerful this other guy is because he's not strong. Like a 300-pound deadlift isn't that strong.
And I also think that that person that's doing 800 pounds at that level, which is, obviously pretty professional, that's someone who really is doing it not just for fun. This is somebody who's, actively going after that. That person, as he goes down in weight, his form is just going to be immaculate, and he's going to know exactly how to, when to flip it. He knows the entire movement from start to finish. His muscle memory is just going to be locked in like stone.
Yeah. Well, let me add another variable. Say the guy that deadlifts 300 pounds power cleans every day, and the other guy doesn't. Still, the 800-pound deadlifter would power clean more, even though this guy trains for power and practices the technique every single day. It doesn't matter, because if you're not strong, you're not going to be powerful. That's all there is to it. Yeah. And that's why I don't understand that all these like athletic trainers or whatever that train athletes, they're always like, we're training for power, when it doesn't matter if you fucking train for power, because you need to get stronger to have more power. Power doesn't fucking matter. You need to get stronger. That's it. And for certain people that aren't genetically powerful, after they get stronger, then you might need to do some power movements like power cleans to teach them how to explode. But that's only expressing the strength that they have. They're not actually gaining power.
Exactly.
So that's why, like, when I hear we're training for power, no, that's bullshit. We're training for stability, no, because if you get under a 500-pound barbell and try to squat that, you don't need balance for that? What is a stability ball? You're never going to be on a fucking unstable surface like that. What kind of athlete plays on a fucking stability ball? That doesn't make sense. What else? I was going to get into stretching, but I'll save that for later. But anyways, yeah. So that's all I ever see is like people with degrees, they do all this bullshit and they don't stick to the basics, and they don't understand that strength is king, and everyone wants to kind of like neglect it, because I feel like people are kind of like, they either don't know how to teach it, they don't know how to like get stronger, they don't know how to like, do it safely. They hear that compound movements are bad and doing them heavy is bad. And they kind of just shy away from it. And I don't know, I feel like it needs to be like turned around, because strength is really good for you. Strength for anybody, like, old people, kids, the stronger you are, the harder you are to kill, the better your life is going to be, the easier your life is going to be. Your daily walking upstairs is going to be a lot easier. Like, everything's going to be so much easier if you just get stronger. And people don't want to fucking just make it simple and get stronger. And they, they're like, oh, you need to do this and stability and power because it's fancy and it looks better and it's easier to teach, and that's it.
Yeah, the argument for practicality versus isolation. Yeah. We're definitely both agreed on that. I mean, it's pretty clear, cut and dry once you get down to the actual discussion of it. But you'll still see most people do isolation just because they want to follow that bodybuilder method, which is effective for bodybuilders and nobody else practically.
Yeah, isolation. I always I'll have clients that'll be like, hey, why don't we hit I don't know, why don't we hit triceps? Like, why don't we do tricep push downs? I'm like, did you not just bench? Like if you had the option, would you rather? I would ask my clients this. I was like, actually, I'll use biceps for an example. Like, why don't we do curls? Because we do like barbell rows and like chin ups and stuff. And I was like, okay, why do you want to do curls instead of chin ups or whatever if you can only curl 20 pounds or 25 pounds, but you're doing chin-ups with your body weight, which is much heavier, and you're involving more muscles. So you're actually getting more bang for your buck because you're working your lats and your back and your shoulders, your scapula, and your biceps and your forearms and your grip, just to do dumbbell curls. Like this is going to be better for you because
Yep.
once you get stronger at chin ups, you can also add weight, and then it'll even make you stronger at that point and give you bigger muscles. So I'm just like, why would you want to isolate when it's not going to work it as well, and you're going to have to spend time on the other muscles that you're not working now because you're isolating. So you're going to have to spend more time in the gym. So I'm just like, why the fuck would you want to do that? Like isolation movements to me aren't really, I just don't understand. I mean, I guess if you want to get like a specific area a little bit more, I guess, but if you're doing the main compound movements, every area is going to be hit anyways. Like all you really need is squats, deadlifts. Bench press is going to really like, I haven't done arms for like a year and a half and my arms I think are pretty fucking big. All I do is bench press and barbell rows for arms and overhead press. That's it. And my arms are pretty fucking, they're probably bigger than they've ever been. And I used to do curls and all the other shit, but now they're bigger than they ever fucking were. So
all the isolation stuff is just basically a huge time sink for very minimal results. So yeah, it's just much better to stick with compound movements. Get your, like you said, get your money's worth out of it.
I feel like, I mean, when I did that stuff, I feel like it was because I also didn't know how to do the other stuff, like the compound movements. But at the same time, I was like, oh, that shit doesn't work. Like, because I would do it, and since I was doing it bad, which I didn't know I was doing it bad, but I was like, well, I don't feel anything from this. I'm not getting a pump, so it doesn't work, and I wouldn't do it. So yeah, I was kind of stubborn, but that's how a lot of people are. Like, if they don't get that instant result,
then it's not working.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing about like those kind of movements, like those isolation movements that are easy to do. You kind of see the result quick, but that's it. The bigger movements, you don't really see much at first, but then it just keeps going and going and going and going.
Yeah, it's got a nice steady increase that continues on through most of the plateaus that you would hit if you were just doing isolated movements.
Yeah,
and that's very important for not only the body but the mind as well, because if you're not getting that like positive reinforcement through seeing differences in your body or the way your clothes fit or something like that, that's something we'll discuss on another podcast. But you have to have that carrot, and sometimes you need the stick.
And people also don't know that the compound movements, they work the central nervous system as well. They don't
Absolutely.
know that, like it's just a muscle movement. You're just moving weight. It doesn't affect you any other way, but it does. Like even I can especially say that it helped me in like football when I would actually lift, and my nervous system would get used to that heavy weight, and my nervous system would be like tougher. Like my mind was more like, it's like a tougher mind.
You can get that explosion from your nervous system where you don't get that. You can be strong and slow, but you can also be fast and strong. And
So I would be like my mind to be more prepped for football. I would feel just if a strong mind is a strong body, so I would feel a lot better. There was like one other thing I wanted to say, but I guess I forgot. But
all right, well, we've been going on for about an hour and 50 minutes, so we can cut it here.
Nice.
So this is Stronger by the Day, our first podcast. We're going to talk about all kinds of crazy stuff here in the future, I'm sure.
Once we get all this exercise, I mean, we're always going to talk about exercise, but talk about more fun stuff.
That's what makes
it's going to be educational fitness stuff with a twist of I guess like stories, funny stories, and other shit, I guess.
Yeah, I'll stream some video games or something too, because every person that exercises, what do you need? You need video games. You got to have your rest period, so why not play some Dead by Daylight or some Call of Duty or something?
Yeah, you gotta recover. You gotta recover by playing video games. So, but you can't go like competitive gaming, because then you're gonna tax out your nervous system, and then you're not gonna be ready to lift. So you have to have a middle ground. You have to do casual gaming, which is what I do. So
Yeah, some Sims 3.
yeah, yeah. Don't get all fucking angry
Yep.
at your game.
All right, so you're Jordan. I'm Alex. You got your programs on your website, which is myfastmuscle.com.
Yeah, and so for those of you that don't know, it's not my fast muscle. Like I'm getting muscle fast. It's increments or not increments. I can't think of the word right now. I'm stupid, but FAST stands for functional athletic strength training, and no, it's not functional as in stability ball and resistance bands and all that bullshit. It's functional as in the real stuff like barbell movements and athletic, because you're going to get athletic from doing barbell movements and getting stronger, and you're doing strength training. So FAST stands for functional athletic strength training, and you're getting muscle from it. So that's why there's muscle at the end of it. But yeah, my fast muscle. I got programs over there. I got an ebook that goes over all of my basically like methods, all the research studies and books that I've read, all my knowledge, so that you get a full understanding of what I have or what I do in my programs to get you the best results. So.
And in the future, we'll probably do some cool little like workout streams or something like that once we get everything going. In the next podcast, we'll go over kind of like what our goals are right now, what we're working towards, how probably about how COVID has kind of affected things, because obviously that's stopped a lot of fitness goals and kind of achievements that we wanted, and it's really bogged that down for me at least. And I'm sure you probably had a rough time when you were still in California and everything was shut down. So
that was great.
Yeah, now you're in the Midwest, so they're like, well, we don't give a shit.
And I have my own gym, so I don't give a fuck.
All right, so anyone that's watching this, we will have a schedule up probably next month, maybe February. We'll put something together, probably be something like Tuesdays and Thursdays, might be more, might be less, just depends on what we come up with. But yeah, just so any viewers, just keep your eye on the Twitch, which is just going to be twitch.tv slash stronger by the day. We'll have some other social media stuff going up as well. I think that's about it, but yeah, we'll put out another podcast here within the next week and definitely get into some more subjects. So
Yep.
Thank you all for watching.
One more thing. I also have an Instagram, myfastmuscle. Check me out. That's it.
Yeah, go give a follow. Hit him up with all your questions and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's it.
Yep.
So thanks for watching, guys.
Cool. Click don't stop recording or whatever.
Boom, done.
All right, nice.